Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you every single little nitty-gritty detail about my natural unmedicated birth of my daughter, Aria. And I'm also going to be sharing with you guys some unseen labor footage. So if you're new here, thank you so much for joining my channel today. My name is Nicole, and in October, I gave birth. I vlogged the whole thing. You can click my labor and delivery vlog up here. It's very raw and real, and I show you a lot in that video. However, I was not able to explain a lot of what was going on. Obviously, I was pretty busy laboring. So that's what I really want to do in today's video, is kind of walk you through what was actually happening the whole time, because so much was left out of it. I'm also going to make a video very soon on like my top 5 things that I believed helped me have an unmedicated labor, so stay tuned for that, or I'll link it here once it's live. And a quick disclaimer to all my amazing mamas out there, this video is in no way meant to shame or hurt anyone's feelings on the type of labor that you had. This is just simply sharing my experience. I believe every single birth story is beautiful and powerful, so leave a comment below letting me know more about a birth story you want to share, so that we can all encourage and empower one another in the comments. And as always, if you like my content today, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, it really helps in the algorithm, and follow me on Instagram if you want to see our daily life. We have way more fun over there. Okay, so before we get started, I want to share more about today's sponsor, which I am wearing. So I'm gonna put her down so I can show you. She's falling asleep anyway. Okay, today's sponsor is Girlfriend Collective. You've probably seen them on Instagram. I'm wearing their activewear set right now. And can we just all agree that when you feel confident, you feel like you can do it all? So nowadays, a lot of people are at home, people are working from home. I'm home like 95% of my life. Obviously, just had a newborn. So I want to be comfortable, of course. I wear a lot of pajamas, sweatsuits, and activewear at the moment, but at the same time, I need to run out and leave my house. I gotta pick up Jace from daycare, I gotta go run errands, and what I love is just a set that I can do everything in, which is what this is all about. So I can just throw a jacket over, or even a little shacket, and some shoes, run out to do what I gotta do, and come back home. So I just wanna have something I can work in, breastfeed in, work out in, although I'm not working out yet, but I will get the clearance soon, and I'm very, very excited to wear this while I work out. Girlfriend Collective has clothes that you can feel your best in no matter what you are doing. So they are sustainable, ethically made clothing for everyone, and I really mean everyone. They have cute and comfortable clothing, tank tops, leggings, shorts, swimsuits, ranging from extra small all the way up to 6XL. I think that was the most refreshing thing when I looked at their website, is just seeing people with real bodies. Their best-selling leggings are squat proof, which is very important, and they come with pockets and have different levels of support, whether you need compression or comfort. They also use recycled materials to make their clothing, and their shipping is 100% recyclable. And by far the coolest thing they do that I've never heard of before is they have a garment take-back program. So once you're done loving your pieces, you can actually send them back in, where they will upcycle them and create new pieces for Girlfriend Collective. So if you're looking for a set, for my viewers, Girlfriend Collective is offering first-time customers $25 off a purchase of $100 or more. Just go to girlfriend.com/Nicole. That's $25 off $100 or more when you go to girlfriend.com/Nicole. girlfriend.com/Nicole. Huge thanks to Girlfriend Collective for sponsoring this video, and let's get into the labor story. Okay, so if you watch the vlog, you know my contractions started basically in the middle of the night, around 1:30 in the morning. I started to feel them while I was sleeping, right? So I got up and I was thinking, are these Braxton Hicks, are they not? So I didn't bother waking up Richie, because I didn't want to bother him until it was actual true labor, and one of us needed to get rest if it was, right? So I went to the living room and I started to kind of clean up and just do dishes, and was timing them out on an app on my phone. At this point, I still wasn't sure if the labor was real. So I was like, I'm gonna try to go back to bed and just sleep through it and see how it goes. But once I went to bed and laid down, they were way more painful. And that's when I knew for sure that they were real contractions. That's when I knew, like, I need to get up, I need to just keep moving around. This is all the stuff that I was like researching, right, leading up to this point. Like, okay, if I want to do a natural labor, like, what is the best thing to do? So obviously the best thing to do is be up and moving around and walking and swaying your hips and birthing ball, blah, blah, blah. So I come to the living room, I sit on the birthing ball, I'm watching TV. It's like 4 a.m. at this point, and I am bouncing up and down on the ball. I'm doing like figure eights. just kind of some of the different exercises I learned. All the while I was still timing out contractions, and they were getting more consistent. So they were coming up, I think at that point, about every 4 to 5 minutes, and they were about 30 seconds to a minute long. Finally at 5 a.m. I was like, all right, let's go wake up Richie because I think this is real. I wake him up and he like went and showered, and we kind of just got ready. I ate a snack, and we made sure that if we did have to go to the hospital soon, our stuff was basically all ready to go. But I really wanted to try to labor at home as long as possible. We continued doing a few different exercises on the birthing ball in the room. Richie was kind of like pushing on my back, and I was actually starting to learn like what positions were helpful for me during labor. I did not have a doula coming with me to the hospital or anyone to tell me I guess what like positions to try out. So it was really just all based on research that I had done, but also just listening to my body and listening to what felt right. And what did not feel right at all was like laying down or being in a crouching position. Like I was trying to work with gravity and get baby to basically move down, because that's what's happening during labor. Your baby is just slowly making its way down into position so that you can have the baby. We then decided to call the midwife to see if they thought we should come in really soon or not. So we called my midwife, and she basically encouraged us to come in because at that point my contractions were like 3 to 4 minutes apart, and pretty consistent. So she said, come in, we'll check you, we'll see if you're dilated and if we should admit you. At that point I had already labored at home pretty much through the whole morning. It was like 7 a.m. by the time we were driving to the hospital. The pain level was still totally manageable. I was able to breathe through contractions, I was able to talk and laugh in between. It was probably like a 2 or 3 maybe at this point. Once we get there, we go into triage, and I got checked and I was 4 centimeters dilated, which made me very happy. At this point in triage, my mucus plug also came out, so that was the first that I saw of that. And then we were basically admitted up into our room. We got settled in there. I did get I forget what it's called, where they put like the little thing in just in case they need to get hooked up later for like liquids and stuff. Wow, I really don't know my medical terminology. But I wasn't actually hooked up to anything, so I didn't have to like stay on the bed or take anything and move around with me. I was free to roam around the room and labor as I pleased, and the nurses just came in about every 45 minutes or so with portable monitors to check the baby. So at that point, Richie and I just basically kept trying new positions, trying to figure out what really helped me get through each contraction. In between contractions, I was perfectly fine. I was happy, smiling. We were laughing. We were joking with the nurses. We put on my Hypnobirthing app. So a lot of people have been asking me what was on in the background in the labor vlog. That was a Christian Hypnobirthing app, which is a woman's voice basically reading out Bible verses and affirmations.
You don't have to do anything. You don't have to try. God loves you. Forgiving you.
So that was really helpful. That really kept me in the zone and just like motivated. I got emotional at one point and was like crying because of what she was saying. Anyways, I started to squat through contractions, which was very, very helpful for me, and also really good to get baby down into the position they want to be in and like get the pressure going downwards. I was like rocking and swaying if I was standing up. So the contractions were progressively starting to get more intense and more painful at this point, but it still was probably around like a 3 or 4 on the pain level. I did grab the comb I brought with me. If you didn't see what I packed in my hospital bag, I packed a lot of interesting things. Actually, I'm gonna do what I actually used in my hospital bag video soon, but I had the comb. I was holding it for most of the time. I think that it helped just because like it was a distraction, but I don't know that it really like took away the pain. It was just nice to like hold something as like a comfort object. So I was holding that for a lot of the time. At some point I eventually lost it when things got wild, but we'll get there. As the contractions were getting more intense, I was starting to like kind of moan, do like a very low groan through them. I wasn't screaming or anything.
Shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. Psalm 34:18.
I hate to see you like this, but this is a really good thing. This is amazing to bring the baby. So
You look like you're doing a
Jeremiah.
every time the midwife came in and she was just kind of watching me and Richie like do our thing, she was super encouraging and was like, yes, you're doing all the right things. Keep it like a nice low groan. You guys are doing great. Like she was amazing, amazing. I loved my midwife. Yeah, Richie was like super encouraging, and the atmosphere in the room was just fantastic. Like with the hypnobirthing on, and it was exactly what I needed and wanted and envisioned for my labor. So after a few hours of that, it was probably around like 10 a.m. or 10 or 11, I did ask the midwife, when can I be checked again to see if I'm dilated, and she kind of discouraged me from checking too often, and she was saying, you know, we don't want to check too much unless we see a major change in your progress. And I didn't really understand why she said that until later, but I did just continue laboring in the room with Richie, and then after like another hour or so, I was like, okay, can we check me? I really wanted to see where I was at. I was only at, well, I shouldn't say only at, okay, I was at like 5 or 6 centimeters, she said. So it did progress, but to me, I was like, that's it? I've been laboring, you know, for hours and I'm only at 5 or 6, so I got really upset, and then I'm like, oh, that's why you didn't want to check too often, because you can get stuck with that number in your head and think like, I'm not making any progress, and just start to get really down. And labor is so mental that it's really important to just stay positive and stay optimistic. At this point, I did notice that my contractions had started to lessen, which I kind of liked. Like internally, I was like, oh, good, I feel like I have a little bit of a break. But then at the same time, I knew that that's not good, and that if they slow down, that means like it's not moving along, and we need to move this along because I don't want to be here forever. So I was like, shoot, like, all right, we gotta switch something up here. And I was telling the midwife, so they made an interesting suggestion, and I did read about this ahead of time, so it wasn't that bizarre to me, but it might be kind of bizarre to some of you. It's called nipple stimulation. So they were like, well, you can try nipple stimulation, which basically can get, you know, contractions going and intensifying to move the labor along. Now, I'm not going to go into a ton of details in this video. I probably will in my other video where I talk about my top ways that I had a successful unmedicated labor, but I'm just going to say that it worked. After we tried their suggestion, I am not kidding when I tell you my contractions intensified to like the next level. Like it literally went from like a pain of probably 3 or 4, like I said, pain level, up to 6 or 7 at that point. Like it just jumped. I mean, it was a natural Pitocin. I'm not joking you. And I also was kind of enjoying the fact that I wasn't in that much pain anymore, but then at the same time I was like, this is good, I need to keep going. I need, like, this has to increase in order for us to just keep moving along. So like mentally, this is what I was telling myself, like, this is good, this is painful, but it's good because we're gonna get the baby out sooner. Contractions started to get closer together, they started to get more intense. I started to have to really focus more during contractions and breathe through them. This is where I really started to groan through the contractions. I could not get through it without being like a I'll insert clips here.
Your strong right hand holds me securely. John 14:27. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Isaiah 14:21.
I did not have any back labor pain. A lot of people have asked me that. All of mine was just like regular pain contractions in the front. So as things are intensifying, they suggest maybe you want to go labor in the shower for a little bit, you know, have some warm water going on you, that might help out. So I was like, let's do it. I'm willing to try that because it was getting intense. So we moved to the bathroom. We take, you know, Hypnobirthing app is still going on in the background. I have a short little clip of it that I included in my birth vlog, but obviously we didn't film in there much because I was like completely naked and literally just in the shower as Richie is spraying me down with warm water like on my back, and it felt so nice. And what happened in there next is crazy. Everything just went to the next level in the shower. So first of all, I still had my comb with me at this point. And, you know, as I'm waiting for the next contraction to come, which is so nerve-wracking, by the way. Labor is just the most crazy thing because you're just waiting for this pain to come. Like, and in between you're fine and you don't feel any pain, but like you're just anticipating the next contraction, which like gives you some anxiety and some nervousness because you're like, it's gonna come, like it's coming soon. And you're trying to relax. Like the midwife kept reminding me, like in between, make sure to relax. Those are your moments to relax and just breathe and enjoy the fact that there's no pain. But like, it's almost hard to do that because you're anticipating the next one. Do you know what I mean? It's very strange. Anyway, in the shower, that was like really what I was experiencing. I would feel it coming and I would just take this big deep breath, and then I would literally squat down, like a very wide squat down, and just do my best to count through, you know, in 4 counts, out 7, something like that. And I was just holding that comb so tight, and I was just trying to release the breath very slowly. After like an hour of this, I started to feel very tired and exhausted, and I requested my honey sticks, which I packed in my hospital bed, and then they got me this huge cup of apple juice, okay, and I just downed that thing. So then I continued laboring in there, okay, and this is where things got really intense. I got to a point where I was so exhausted. In between contractions, I was legitimately falling asleep. Like, I would have my head against the shower, the tile wall, and I was falling asleep. It was so bizarre. Like, I had never heard of that happening with anyone before. So I continued doing that for like another hour in the shower. So in total, I think I was in there for about 2 hours. Richie was like, all right, let's try, you know, why don't we get back out and dry you off? And so I'm getting out, and then I basically just feel like I need to throw up. So go to the toilet, I'm like throwing up all the apple juice that I just drank. Sorry, you know what, throw up in labor is actually pretty normal because of the nausea. Richie's helping me while I'm having a contraction all at the same time. So I'm trying to like breathe through the contraction as I'm throwing. It was just crazy. Okay, so that was the bathroom situation. We'll wrap that up. At this point, it's probably like 1 o'clock or something. So I actually went on the hospital bed at this point, and I'm facing the back of the hospital bed, kind of like it's leaning upwards. And I did have another moment on the bed that was bizarre, where I was getting so tired again, and because I was so comfortable like on a pillow and you're warm and snug, I legitimately was falling asleep between contractions again. And one of the contractions, I slept through it. It was like, I mean, you're sleeping, but you're not like fully asleep, obviously. So I was sleeping through the contraction. I felt it, but because I was too tired to like even think about the contraction or like think about breathing through it or groaning through it or anything, I just like fully accepted the contraction, and therefore it made it less painful, and I like didn't feel the pain of that contraction. I don't even know how, I don't know if anyone's experienced this, but it was like, because I surrendered to it fully, because I was too tired to even fight it, like I was too tired to acknowledge it, I just continued to sleep through it. It was so weird, and that only happened with one of them. I tried to continue doing that through the rest, but I couldn't. I was like, nope, yep, I feel it again, not sleeping anymore. So like that's what would happen, is I would like fall asleep, and then like the pain of the next one would like wake me up out of my sleep, and I would be like, ah! At this point, pain level is probably an 8, and I am no longer really laughing or talking or having fun in between. I mean, that all ended in the shower, really. I still was in control, so I don't want it to seem like I was like nuts and I couldn't control anything and I was just crazy woman. Like, but I wanted to get out of the bed at that point because it just wasn't working for me anymore. I got out of the bed and I go and I'm like sitting down on one of the chairs next to Richie. This is where my thoughts kind of started to struggle. I didn't really ever have like a serious thought of, I want to take that epidural right now. I did not have that thought. My thoughts were more so, I'm doing this. The only way for the pain to stop is for this baby to come out. So I need to just keep progressing in labor. Like the pain will stop when she comes out. That was like what was in my brain. Not the pain will stop when I take an epidural. Like I refused to think that. I just like wasn't thinking that. I guess I mentally went into it with that not really being a thought. So it was just, I need to get this baby out. So what do I need to do to get this baby out? I did have a thought while I was in labor of, oh, this is why people take an epidural. So I was still in a really focused mindset of, we're going with this. Like this is happening. I'm going all the way to the end. And I started to vocalize that and tell Richie that, like, Richie, I'm doing this, we're going to the end and there's no going back. I actually told him to tell me like there's no going back. I definitely needed encouragement at this point and was like telling Richie how to encourage me. And then I also started to feel like I don't know how much longer I can do this. And I think that's why I started to have this conversation with the midwife, because like she came into the room and she saw how much my pain intensified. I was at this point like groaning / almost screaming through contractions. I was like, what happens next? Like, what if my water doesn't break? I was basically just trying to rationalize in my head, like, how much longer is this gonna be? But like, no one could even give me that answer, so I don't know why I was asking them these questions. Well, here's why. Okay, I remember the first time with Jace, the doctor actually broke my water for me, and after it popped, that's when the contractions got so intense and so painful that I ended up asking for the epidural. So in my head, I was still thinking to myself, if my water breaks anytime soon, this is gonna get even more intense and more painful, and I don't know how much longer I could do this for. So that's why I was like trying to rationalize and figure all of that out. Lo and behold, right after we are talking about this, I feel a contraction coming on because I'm sitting down in a chair like this, and I get up so I can go like lean against the bed and breathe through it. And right as I get up, psh, my water breaks, splashes all over the floor. It was like a loud pop sound. Everyone just like froze for a second. It was like me, Richie, the midwife, and 2 nurses were like, I'm just sitting there, and then I go, and I start like crying because I was like so startled and just taken aback. And then like I'm also having a contraction, so I'm like trying to get through all of this, and I just hear the midwife go, all right, let's go. And she like, her and the nurses and everyone's just like up and like preparing the bed. They were like, where do you want to go? They're like, do you want to go in the tub? Do you want to go in the bed? I literally looked, because I told you guys I might want to do a water birth, and I like looked at the tub, and it looked so far away. It was all the way on the other side of the room, and I looked at the bed, and it was like 2 feet away. So I was like, the bed. I'm walking towards the bed. Richie's like cleaning up all the water under me, like where my water broke. I have footage of Richie saying like, oh, till death do us part. And she was like, yeah, there's nothing neat and clean about birth, like whatever. So Richie doesn't care about any of that stuff. He loves this stuff. He would be a doctor in another life if he could, or a surgeon. Yeah, surgeon. Okay, so I'm getting up on the bed and I'm trying to figure out like, okay, what position do I want to be in? I certainly was not going to give birth on my back. I actually went like on all 4s on the bed, and I think I had some pillows in front of me at this point too for like cushioning. At this point, I'm still getting contractions. Pain level is like a 10. It's just a 10. Everything's a 10 from here on out. But I'm also starting to transition into the pushing phase of labor, where you just feel like you gotta push that baby out of you. So as I'm in the bed, I'm still getting contractions, trying to breathe through them, but also really groaning / screaming out in pain, because for me that was just the way. I don't know how people are silent during labor. I think that that's really sweet and nice when I see videos like that, but I could not be silent. Like there was just no way. I think for about 10 minutes I was on my front trying to push that way, and I'm looking at Richie, I'm squeezing his hand, I'm hearing the hypnobirthing in the background still, but I'm like extremely focused and really just trying to get through contractions and tell myself I can do this. Like I literally out loud was saying, I can do this, I can do this. And I was saying like, Lord help me. Like I was praying like, God help me do this, help me do this. And then I was saying, I'm doing this. I don't know, these are just things that I remember saying. Richie's right next to me encouraging me. I kept saying there's only one way for this to end. There's only one way. You gotta get this baby out. You gotta push her out. Like get out of me. I kept thinking, man, like get out of me. That's all I wanted. I just wanted her to get out so the pain can stop. It wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't even like, I just want her to get out so I can meet my baby. Like in that moment, it was like, I want her out because I want the pain to stop. And I kind of was getting a little bit like out of sync with my breathing and pushing and stuff. So the midwife is trying to coach me, saying, okay, don't push unless you have a contraction. Like, because I was getting a little bit like frantic and was like just starting to just push and wail, and yeah, so she was like really coaching me on what I should be doing.
Take the break that your body gives you in between. I know there's still going to be pressure, but take a break in between contractions.
My hips hurt. My hips hurt.
I know. It's lots of pressure there. lots of pressure. It's just your baby's head, okay?
Okay. And I actually feel her moving downwards through my hips, and I'm saying in the video, I think you can hear me say my hips, my hips. It felt like they were just like literally widening for her to like get through. I tried in that position for about 10 minutes, but then I ended up turning actually to my side. This is where my battery on my camera died. And guys, I would have had such incredible footage of Aria coming straight out of me, because literally, so I am like full frontal to the camera sideways like that. Not that I would have put that all online or anything, but like even just for me to have for myself to see my own birth would have been cool. So as I'm continuing to push through contractions, get through contractions, I'm getting loud, I'm screaming. I'm pretty sure the whole floor heard me. It was very animalistic at this point. It was very like I was in another dimension. I did not care who was in the room, who was around. I didn't care about anything. It was just like, I'm doing what I need to do to get this baby out, and I'm doing what feels right. So I remember thinking at that moment, like, I'm waiting to hear someone say, oh, we see the head. We see something. I wanted them to see something of her coming out, because I was just like pushing so hard that I was like, is anything happening? You know? So finally, I'm hearing them say, okay, we see the top of the head, you know, and I'm getting that encouragement, that motivation to keep going. And so I'm pushing out, and then you feel that ring of fire. Ooh, you feel the fire. Yes, I felt it. I did. But I was like, I don't care. I'm just gonna keep pushing because I want her out, and I'm just envisioning her in my head. Like, I'm envisioning her head coming out of me. I'm envisioning all of this happening. Once her head pops out, a few more pushes later, and her shoulders and rest of the body came out. And the entire thing was so wild. Like those moments at the end of me pushing with all my might and telling myself I can do it, and like feeling, even just talking about it, like I just want to cry. Like just feeling her come out, and then just thinking about like, I just like truly labored like for my daughter to like join this world, and feeling every moment of it. And that's really what I wanted. I truly wanted a completely different experience than I had with my son, where, you know, I did get medicated, and of course, no shame, all that's fine. I had a beautiful birth story with him as well, and it was wonderful, but this was such a different experience. It was exactly what I wanted. It was exactly what I was craving. Like, even though in the moment I was like, oh my gosh, this is the worst pain of my life, it was really like, I wanted to feel everything. Like, I wanted to feel labor. I sound crazy. And after she came out, and they just laid her down on me, and I felt like immense relief. Like the pain was gone. It was gone, and I just couldn't wait. And that was like the high for me that moment. It was like, I can't even explain how relieved and how happy I felt that the contractions stopped and the pain was just done. It was done. And of course, I was so happy my daughter was also born. Oh, I'm just looking at her asleep right there. It was just an incredible, incredible moment and an incredible experience. It was the hardest thing I have ever done in my life, but I'm so grateful and happy that I was able to have the labor that I wanted to have with her. I definitely don't take it for granted, because I know that that doesn't work out that way all the time with everybody. And then you have to deliver the placenta, right? She just had me do a few pushes, and it didn't really hurt too bad. Honestly, it hurt, but nothing compared to the pain that I just felt. That was done. Richie cut that umbilical cord, and lo and behold, praise the Lord, there was no tears, because so many people have been asking me that. And I will say that what's interesting is with my first one with Jace, I did tear.
I don't think you tore it.
Oh, you're kidding me. Oh my God, it felt like I was tearing up a storm.
I know, but I don't think you did.
That is nuts. I hope this didn't scare anybody. I know some people will like see my footage of me screaming or talk about the pain levels and all of that. Of course it's painful, but it is possible, and it's manageable, and it's powerful, and it's intense, and it's beautiful, and it's all of these things. I hope if anything, this is just motivating to people. And so I've been motivated by so many other birth stories I've seen. So I hope this was a nice video for you guys to watch, and I appreciate all of your love and support. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I will see you guys in my next video.